every time, all my life. Amen. I don't know why.
Because Lisa isn't here, we're probably not gonna do her oath of office. Okay, perfect. So roll call. Jody Arp. Here. Atchison. Bernie Meyer.
Here.
Laura Ensley, I'm here. Denise Gates. Here. Austin Hillier.
Here.
Sally Holland. Rose Powell.
Here.
Dave Ringler. Public comments. Those citizens wishing to speak on the agenda and non-agenda items will be allowed a maximum of 4 minutes each to address their concerns. This is the only time during the meeting that the citizens are allowed to address the Downtown Development Authority. Please state your name and address for the record if you would like.
Well, I was hoping I could kind of talk about this more so later, but my name is James Pugh. I'm the director of the Cedar Springs Library. I would like to talk about one of the possible things that we do here with the library in the downtown area is a story walk downtown, where. Use that end microphone. I can use this end microphone. So I'm James Pugh. I'm the director of the Cedar Springs Library, and I'd like to propose a story walk to the downtown area where we take a picture book and we put the different pages of the picture book in the different downtown stores, and families get to walk around the downtown stores reading the story, but also seeing the wonderful treasures that the downtown offers. And so I'm going to kind of pass that around. I'd like to talk about this more at an official meeting, like not just a planning meeting, but I just thought I'd kind of put the bug in everybody's ear tonight and then come to another another DDA meeting, and hopefully we can get something going by the summer.
I think it's cute.
Yeah. Stories this Main Street could tell.
Oh. Do we have any conflicts of interest in the ex parte communication inquiry? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
A motion.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Any unfinished business? No. Do I have to motion for that? No, I don't. Any new business? A strategic planning workshop hosted by Travis Alden. That's you.
All right. Well, thanks for the opportunity to be here tonight. Real quick thing, is there any other business that needs to be wrapped up after this, or do I, yes?
You'll just want to make sure that you close the meeting and have trustee comments or normal closure of the meeting.
Okay, I didn't know if there was like a bunch of other stuff
No.
afterwards, so I need to leave
No.
time. Okay, so I'll take you right up until 7:59. Okay, all right. Well, thanks everybody for the opportunity to be here, and I appreciate you working with me from a couple weeks ago when I was not getting out of bed and all of that fun stuff that happens in the wintertime. So real quick, just a little bit of context, a little bit about me. So Senior Director of Community Development at The Right Place, a regional economic development organization headquartered in downtown Grand Rapids, have been around for 40 years. 2025 is our 40th anniversary, which is really cool. And I am in our community development division. And one of our, I'd say, pillars of work that we do is community capacity building, which is this kind of fun activity tonight. So have been talking with Darla for a couple months about wanting to come and just sort of facilitate some big picture generative discussions, that sort of thing with this group, and with the intent to really sort of lay out I guess what I'd say, sort of like a tactical roadmap. Typically when I do these, it's not what I hesitate to say things like strategic plan, because when I think strategic plan, I think a big thick binder that sort of like sits on a shelf and you have different appendices to it and whatever. That's not what comes out of this. When I work with communities on this, typically what comes out of this is a 1, maybe 2-page brass tacks where the rubber meets the road, whatever sort of analogy you want to use in terms of this is how we are going to utilize our resources moving forward. Normally it's for a 12, 18, maybe 24-month time frame, but it's really intent to sort of like either jumpstart an organization with maybe a bunch of new board members or a new staff, or maybe there's a situation where there's some, you know, there's some rules or not rules, maybe there's some goals on the books that need to be sort of dusted off that you haven't really looked at in a while. Or sometimes it's just like, you know what, things are a little bit different in the community now than they were 3, 4, 5 years ago, and we just want to take a fresh look at things. So not assuming any of that, you know, here tonight, but that's sort of the context that I kind of come into these conversations. And I guess a little bit of my role tonight, it's not to influence the discussion necessarily. I'm not here to say like, hey, have you guys thought about doing this? Or, you know, what about this sort of idea? My role here today is to sort of facilitate, maybe play a little bit referee. I'm not afraid to ask the dumb questions. If it seems like people are sort of dancing around something that's maybe a little sensitive, I'll be like, all right, why are we not talking about X? Because I get to leave tonight and you guys all still get to, you know, work together later on. So just want to say that's fair game. Don't be, you know, surprised if I challenge you on something just to, you know, kind of add to the conversation. But I always do want to kind of start these with the premise that we do need to have open, honest discussions tonight, okay? This is the time to kind of put our cards on the table, that sort of thing, to have these discussions, because if there's something that you want to say and whatever, but if we don't get it out there, then we're not going to be able to address it, and it's not going to be able to be a part of the conversation. So before I get into sort of like asking some questions to sort of get the wheels turning, can we do I know I met some of you, but can we do a quick round robin introductions, kind of your name, maybe how long you've been on the board, and if there's like a business or property hat you wear in the DDA district? I don't know, Bernie, you want to start us off?
I've been on the board for a long time. I don't know how long, but probably 10 years, 15, I don't know. Getting ready to I've had enough. I'm 81 years old, working for Henry Hyde Ford, been there 45 years, and good luck. Go ahead.
There you go. There you go.
Opinion I'll share later.
I'm Jody Arp. I've been on the board for a couple years now. I own the Redbird Bistro and Grill. We've been open for about 5.5 years, so.
I'm Austin Hillier. I'm a realtor in the community, and my wife and I own Thrive inside Meyer. It used to be downtown though.
I'm Laura Ensley. I've been on the board, I don't know how long, 5 years. It's a real estate right down here.
Rose Powell. Like I told you, I started with the DDA in the 80s, our original DDA. And we accomplished a lot in a short time. Then I retired from that. And then I started again about 10 years ago, as I also started at City Council and stepped in. I'm a neighborhood representative.
I'm Denise Gates. I have not been on the board for a year yet. I work for Choice One Bank. I'm a regional manager, and I'm outside of the district. Just outside.
And I guess just a little bit of context. I'm a recovering DDA director from up north in Manistee. So that for about 4 years up there. I've also ran a countywide chamber of commerce and, you know, a bunch of different things over the years. So bring a lot of kind of that small town community development, you know, sort of lens to this. So just want to put that out there. It's not like urban downtown Grand Rapids guy coming into Cedar Springs and trying to, you know, have all the answers or whatever. So I'm very much wired in a small town, you know, sort of way. So speaking of that, and I take notes live as we're discussing, because so like Austin, if you say, you know, if you have a great comment and I jot it down, and I want you to be able to say, Travis, that's not really what I meant, you know, just so I just want to make sure we're capturing everything. Okay. So I'm just going to jot things down as you guys are, you know, kind of bringing it up and shouting it out. But just to kind of get the wheels turning tonight, are there any like-sized communities or downtowns that you think of as aspirational? Not that you want to be exactly like X community or X downtown, but maybe there's pieces of a specific downtown or a community that, man, wouldn't it be great if we had X in downtown Cedar Springs? So is there anything top of mind that comes up that we can jot down as something like, wouldn't that be great if? And you can just yell them out.
Always admired the other cities, what they do, Rockford, Sparta. But we've always been held back by the fact that this road down here is a huge transportation mode between the north and the south.
Talking 131?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Main,
the old,
Main Street.
yeah, which at one time was a federal highway till the expressway came in. So that's kind of a burden when you want to do a Main Street celebration.
I should know this.
Main
Yeah. Is it state highway, like,
Yeah.
whatever, okay, I
Yes.
should know that,
Yeah.
all right.
46.
Okay.
It's a busy street and kind of hampers us. You go to Rockford, they're off onto a side street, Greenville. They're kind of.
91. So they're,
Problem that we have there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They do.
but they have a million lights to slow
we don't.
everybody down. As where we don't have street lights every block. They also, I like Greenville for the fact of how they do their parking in that city. They have parking all behind the buildings, all the way down Main Street there. So there's a ton of
And they
parking
have
there.
Very defined pedestrian. Yeah.
But Greenville downtown has almost the same problem that we have, a ton of empty buildings.
Yeah, they do.
They do. So, I mean, I don't know how we can aspire to be like that. They have a lot of buildings that are in very bad shape.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, it doesn't need to be like, oh, I would like, I mean, it can be a Frankenstein thing, like I want the parking of Greenville
Mhm.
and the building stock of Rockford, and you know what I'm saying, it's like, sky's the limit, yeah.
Well, I think, and I've always thought this, and I'm not smart enough to figure out how to fix it. But if you look at towns that are really, say Rockford, okay, that's a bad example because it's absolutely a perfect town, as far as I'm concerned. But they have things. We're so limited. You have a Main Street, like she talked about. It's a thoroughfare. There's no way to get around Main Street. You can't go out, take a side street. You can't go from the south to the north. You got nothing out there but a swamp. Okay, and I'm not criticizing anything. I'm just saying. Consequently, on this side, you got the same thing. You gotta go through Rosie's house to get north. You got well, you do. You know, you can't, this has got one street. There's no cross
Yeah.
street. Until you fix that, I don't know how you're gonna, I think the way to do it, it's gonna cost a lot of money. You expand Cherry Street, which we've talked about forever. Go out there, you know, and make it tie into put a light out there by the new police post and wherever it comes out and go across the way, and you know, you got people get downtown. And that's one thing you gotta do. I don't know how to do it without spending millions, number one. Number two is some way we've got to fix the Main Street, the facade on the Main Street. You've got Laura and North, it looks fine. You got to get to Vanderhyde Ford, it looks like hell. Because we don't have enough room, okay, for our service department. We've grown too big. All right, so that doesn't look good. You look good. They look good. Everything out there looks good. This side of the street looks good. But you take that Main Street where the Mexican restaurant is, bless their hearts, okay? That looks like hell. And until we fix that or figure out a way I don't know what to do. I'm not smart enough. I'm not a Donald Trump, or I'd have it fixed. All right? So that being said, that's what I gotta say. We gotta work on some of those major things, or we're gonna keep kissing our sister all the way from here to.
Well, I also think that, you know, there's a lot of buildings in the town that could be serviced by different businesses, and there are people that own them, that rent them, that stop good businesses from coming into town because that's not the vision that they see, you know, and I think that is a major problem. I mean, I'm a real estate agent. I show these properties to people that I'm like, why would you not want this? This is going to help bring walking traffic in our town. And then they put other businesses in there, they rent them out, and they're out within 6 months, 8 months, a year. And as soon as they go in, you're like, what, why? You know?
What's a downtown that has a business mix that's more ideal than
I feel like it needs to be a walkable town, right? Like we need to have more retail in town. We need to have more things that people actually want to walk around our town and shop. Like you go downtown Rockford and it's, tons of retail and we have some retail, but we don't have a ton.
I don't feel like we have enough of the right retail to collect the crowd that we're looking for.
The side streets, you don't have the side streets either.
Yeah.
Those they have side streets. And that's where we were hampered by this one road goes through town. You gotta fix that Main Street and then go this way, go east and west. I think, I don't know.
Well, and retail tends to be something where it benefits from having a critical mass. It's one thing to have just like a smattering, but everybody does better when there's more, that it's just like, oh, I just want to go shop and, from that destination standpoint. I'd say it's probably typically also the same for dining. Is that, like from your perspective, having, I'd say like a destination dining establishment downtown. What's your perspective on, an aspirational sort of community?
I like she said, finding the right retail shops to come to town, making our town more inviting to those businesses to come down here. And if we can get them in, we'll definitely have more traffic downtown, more foot traffic downtown.
I don't know. Place that sold some women's jeans would be awesome.
Yeah.
And some cute shirts
Shoes.
and some shoes. Now that I can get behind.
A shoe store,
Yeah,
just for,
For God's sakes, that'd be amazing.
or something like that. That would be like ideal businesses that I would want to see.
What is a community you've been to that has the feel you're going for? I'm getting a little touchy feely here, but like a vibe that you're going for. Is there a vibe? Charlevoix? Okay.
So I have a house there and every weekend that we go to Charlevoix, we go downtown Charlevoix and we go shopping. I go to the same shops year after year after year. I look at the same crap, but guess what? We go every single weekend. It's what you do. Or Boyne City, they shut down their streets every Friday and have a party. They have 5 bands every Friday night. And those shops stay open until 10 o'clock. They're slammed.
All right. Denise, Austin, you guys have been quiet. Anything?
Free to call me.
And I always think of Rockford too, just because it's been there for so long that way. That's where I'm from, since they had the Squire Street where they had all the retail shops and, that type of thing. So the same. Petoskey, I think of Petoskey.
Fabulous, yeah.
They all have unique. They all have lakes. They all have a dam. They all have something. We got a Main Street. Until we do something about that, we need help there. That's where we need help. We need that Main Street's gotta be a vibe and then people will move around it. But I don't know how we're gonna get it there unless we, give tax abatements, I don't know, for a jean shop. I don't know what to do.
That's what we're gonna be talking about tonight. Yeah.
You're right, because you see a lot of downtowns that are on a main thoroughway like Greenville that have tons of empty buildings and they have, their retail struggles there. It has a high turnover rate and do we want that here? No.
Okay, the next example, I don't even know who owns the building next to Heritage Park, that little building.
Jose's.
So we go to Jose, make him a deal. Make him a deal he can't refuse. I don't know how you're gonna do it. Hire somebody, get a Trump to do it. I think it can be done. Tear it down.
Remodel it.
Whatever, tear it down, build a jean shop. Get somebody, hire some kids, get somebody that's willing to spend the time to do, and it wouldn't take him much money, I don't think. If you made a deal with him, made the right deal with him, he's got nothing now, only thing he's got is taxes. Nothing else. I know he lives, not the one on the end, the next one he lives in, right?
So
Who lives next to the restaurant? Just south of the nothing. That one, use that one then. That's the kind of stuff you gotta do.
So we will definitely get there in terms of how we want to get to the ideal state. We're just kind of trying to set the base right now, but we will definitely get to that point. Anything else anybody wanted to mention in terms of like aspirational sort of things?
Rent. I know the rent in some of these, storefronts. You had one,
It's cheap.
cheap compared to Myers, probably.
What, how much was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, we were paying 900 a month
That's cheap.
and
Super cheap.
yeah, it is dirt cheap.
Okay.
And-
So if you got a retail store in, what kind of a profit margin would you have to pay that kind of rent? Besides your inventory and your, you know, wages, and you'd have to sell a lot of jeans.
I don't know, I'd buy them. Yeah.
Yeah, you would have to have a good profit margin there.
Huge.
Did you struggle there?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
Austin.
Definitely.
Mhm.
We lost a lot of money.
And when you moved out to Meyer.
It's just foot traffic, and that's all that downtown needs is foot traffic.
So what I want to do now is get into some of the feedback from the survey. And the idea with this is not that this is the end all be all. The idea is that you can take a look at this and it's like, this is what everybody put down. This is what everybody put down. It was anonymous. You could kind of put down whatever you wanted to without fear of someone being like, oh, I don't want to say that in front of folks and whatever. This is intended to be kind of a starting point for discussion, and then we kind of go from there. So I guess the question that I want to ask everybody here that is, you know, you've heard the thing start with why, right? Like, what is the why for the organization? And that was the question that I put out there, everybody, is what is the why for the DDA? What is it that the DDA is here to accomplish that isn't in the purview of the city, that isn't in the purview of the chamber, that isn't in the purview of any other organization that you guys are uniquely situated to move the needle on in a positive way, right? And so a lot of the comments that were on here, and, you know, we can look at them up here, but, you know, improving the downtown, focus on improving the downtown for, you know, commerce, living focal point, some of the stuff we've already talked about today. Impacting the culture within the city, investing in community events, historic charm, supporting local businesses, promoting economic growth in the district. You know, specific things like tax increment financing, limited millage, that sort of thing, halting property value deterioration. I think that's actually in like the code from the state, is the halting property value deterioration. Creating a thriving downtown, improving the district. Support, strengthen, and encourage business, new and old, to thrive in the downtown. Some of the things on the bottom there, parks, trails, flower baskets, lights, that was the first mention of like actual like tangible like beautification, you know, brick and mortar, you know, sorts of things. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I guess as you're looking at this and as you're reading through this, what are your thoughts on this? Do we feel like we're missing anything? Do we feel like this sort of hits the nail on the head? This is just the raw materials, guys. This is not adopting anything or anything tonight. This is just kind of the starting point for the discussion. Any thoughts on this?
So. That's all of it.
Everybody's good with that? Didn't feel like we missed anything? It's like, yep, it encompasses kind of where everybody's thoughts are. Okay. It's okay for staff to articulate too. Okay, all good, all good. Okay, I'm just gonna say this kind of covers it. Okay, so we also know that in any community with a DDA, you are not on an island. You can't also do it 100% on your own. There has to be collaboration. So when I ask the question, who are the primary collaborators in doing all of that stuff that everybody put down before? This is what you all put down: local businesses, city government, community organizations, the chamber. And I think what somebody put there is distinguish when each of these roles should happen, and, you know, basically what to expect, not just from our executive director, but, you know, staff from throughout. It takes a village. Everybody kind of put the same thing. I guess I wasn't familiar with this community building development team. What is that? Is that like the Heart of Cedar Springs group?
It's a local philanthropic.
Local, okay,
group, Yeah. they got
okay,
The amphitheater, instrumental in the library.
gotcha,
Fundraising.
okay. Does that cover everybody? We're missing anybody?
I don't think we're missing anybody. You guys think so?
So one question I do want to be, just kind of be devil's advocate, and and this is the case, I think, with probably 80% of the DDAs that I work with. Very rarely does anybody mention property owners. But it's actually property owners that are paying the TIF into the DDA. Everybody immediately thinks business owners. Very rarely do people bring up property owners. In some situations, they're one and the same, but a lot of times they're not. So I guess my question here is, how engaged is the property owners in the downtown with the DDA, with initiatives that we're trying to do? And I'm not talking about property owners that also operate the business. I'm talking the property owners that have it as an investment in their landlords.
Kind of at some level.
Oh, yes, I yes, some,
That
right?
would be-
yeah, some,
All I can think of.
yeah.
Who?
Many aren't, I would say. Some are, but many aren't.
I would say 90%.
Yeah.
10% are.
Are most of your property owners local, or do you got a lot of out of towners?
More local.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is a very good thing. There's a lot of small communities where you have a lot of folks that live in Texas or they live out east or whatever, and it's just the property is a line on a balance sheet. And that is all it is to them. And that is exceedingly difficult to deal with. So I'm glad that's not the case here. That's great. Anybody else from a collaborator sort of standpoint to think through? Is there anybody that we wish was involved, that we wish was at the table for the things we're doing downtown that isn't? There is no wrong answer.
What do you mean?
The school district or something, as an example. As an example. Just, yeah, just put it out there. But if it's not, but if that's not a group that typically engages with the downtown or doesn't have events, or, I mean, okay, is the homecoming parade downtown?
No.
Wow, okay.
We don't have one. I feel like they do one.
Oh, I assumed, I feel like everybody does.
They do?
I believe they do.
Okay. See, I learned something about communities every day.
The way it went.
No, they don't. I've never seen one there.
Invite-
Have you ever seen one there?
Something you could do though, invite the tractors. Tractors go to the homecoming thing, the kids over there.
The kids bring the tractors to school. We should do a parade in town.
We should, that's what we should do.
You guys do a drive your tractor to school day too?
Yes.
We do that in Middleville too. Yeah, love it.
Fall and the spring.
So excited.
Yeah.
So excited to do it. It's so cute.
I digress. I digress. Okay, so I feel like we covered collaborators unless there's anything anybody wants to add. All right, this is the fun part where we get into strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. If anybody has done a SWOT analysis before, that's what this is. It's really intended to kind of put all the cards on the table, what's going great, what's going not currently, and then also look forward from an opportunity standpoint. What are the good things kind of on the horizon for the downtown, and what are the things that we really want to try to avoid? That's the threats, okay? So in terms of biggest strengths as a district that you all put down, walkable, parking's easy, real estate is affordable. We kind of talked about that a little bit in terms of rent. You know, the trail was mentioned numerous times. Part of Cedar Springs, that's mentioned a couple of times. Amphitheater, definitely. Brewery, Redbird, nice call out there. Social district. I don't think I realized you guys had a social district. That's been pretty successful.
Mhm. As of the last couple New Year's Eves, yes. But before that, I didn't benefit very much from having that before that. I know the brewery did because they're definitely closer to the amphitheater where the music was, but the last few bigger events that we've had downtown, I've definitely done well on that.
Is the social district just active for specific specific events? It's not like, oh, Monday through Thursday, you know, whatever?
It's
Okay.
every day, but it's not the full DDA. To Maple, across, over to the amphitheater,
Okay, so just that, okay.
kind of a little L.
Oh, yeah, because you need the
downtown.
nodes, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, okay. Historic charm, diverse array of shops, community events, natural beauty at, again, Heart of Cedar Springs. Starting to look more like a downtown Main Street. I was kind of curious about that one in terms of feeling like, I mean, I'm not asking for who put that, but to me, that came across as positive momentum, like positive progress, you know, moving forward. What other strengths would you guys say are out there, or any other thoughts on what's here? Anybody disagree? Anybody like, yes, exactly what they said. I second that. I third that.
I'd like to see more focus on our trails. We have the North Country Trail and the White Pine Trail go through the middle of Cedar Springs. I don't know what we can do about it, but it would be nice to have some sort of event to celebrate that, which I guess I'm supposed to figure out. North Country Trail is the federal trail. Right from my house, actually.
Are there events currently that capitalize on like the trail itself?
There's a lot of events on the trail, but we don't have a part of them. If you go to their website, they have different runs and bike things and stuff, but we've never been, well, a couple of times we've been involved with going down, passing out water and stuff, but that's been about it. That was years ago.
Does the trail, so like speaking anecdotally, I have a number of colleagues professionally and then also friends who are big cyclists. And Cedar Springs is always their turnaround. They're coming up from GR and Cedar's their turnaround and they come back. A lot of times getting food, you know, here is kind of their midway point or whatever. I'm curious if the perception in town is, yeah, there's a lot of visitors that come on the trail, or is it kind of like a wash? Like, it's great, it's fun to use as a resident, but it doesn't really add commerce to the downtown. This is me just not knowing.
Participate in any events that they're having on the trail. And there are a lot of them. Go on their website.
Well, I mean, even independent events, just like people on the trail on weekends and whatever.
A ton.
No, I had a bunch of snowmobilers the other morning.
Yeah.
That,
mean-
I know they came up on the trail.
Honestly, like a lot of, I mean, I'm a snowmobiler and a lot of times we stop, you know, we try to get off where there's usually signage that says, hey, there's food this way. Do we even have that?
That's what I was just gonna ask.
Yeah,
If
we-
there's signage on the trail to direct them to downtown businesses available.
Was sign, I thought there were signs.
We paid money for signage.
On the trail?
Yeah, over there, I don't know what their signs were. Excuse me,
Wonder what they said.
we had a late visitor, came in, Perry Hopkins, didn't get a chance. Did you have anything to say? I'm gonna interrupt the thing. I know, but you know, they said, no, they said, what?
We're on the sign committee. I just asked Rose, who remembers everything, just so you know.
What do I know? Do you have anything you want to add to this before, as a public comment? No, as a public comment before the meeting. You were late, so I'd say something. If you want to say, do you have something you wanted to say? Or you just here for saying hi? Okay, shut up. Never mind. Okay.
There, that says downtown food?
No, this guy, Patrick Ensley, I don't know if you know him from Ensley Builders, he's gonna build this great six-sided kiosk over there. But he got shot down by one of the board members and the previous city manager because he didn't think that was a great spot for him.
We're donating it. I remember
Okay, that's
this.
what it was.
We okayed it and they turned it. City, okay, my fault.
Making that now would be a great spot. You got a good city
Manager now, so.
Well, I think this guy's like, that if we're gonna capture people off that trail, unless they know what here, like, I'm a snowmobiler. I'm rolling through here at, you know, not
Go in arrow. Say anything you want. on it.
I had 6 sides, basically, it'd tell you here, it'd have the whole map of the city, then it'd have what your, stuff you're doing, what your business and all your events, but also what your DDA is doing and different things.
As a snowmobiler,
Yeah, that would be a really, yeah.
That was our beat.
all you want is a sign that says food with an arrow. And how far
Food.
shopping, how far.
Yeah.
Getting way off track here, but does the DDA or the chamber maintain like an online business directory or anything like that? I mean, if it's something like that, I mean, it could be as simple as like a QR code or something that's there that people can easily scan, that you don't have to worry about going out of date, like something printed that's out of date or whatever, you know, so.
The map we
Yeah,
have.
so there you go.
All you're looking for is a sign that literally has a fork and a spoon with an arrow as a snowmobiler. You're not looking for, anything. You just want to know that there's food here.
You wanna drink and eat.
We'll go that way and figure it out, right? Yeah, okay.
You don't stop to say, well, which one are we going to? You go, okay, which one looks like the least hole in the wall? That's one that I'm pulling into.
And
I
the
mean,
bikers.
And the bikers, yeah.
Whatever your choice is, yeah, yeah.
Those are the best ones, let me be honest with you.
So let's make sure to put a pin in that, like capitalizing on trail traffic for wayfinding for downtown. That could be a nice project. So going back to strength, any other strengths before I move on to everybody's favorite, the weaknesses?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
So I've only been here 7 years, 7-ish years, and I think we have really good momentum. The new library, the amphitheater, Heritage Park. Next, this year we're gonna do more down at the Heart. Rockford didn't get to be Rockford overnight. It takes time, builds, little things build to bigger things. I think we're heading in the right direction. We just maybe need, signage, a few more events.
Part of why me and Scott picked this town for our business. Besides knowing Dave and him saying, come to Cedar. We knew that this was growing, Rockford's already so saturated that it's starting to grow this way. So we wanted to get our feet in here, before it got too big and kind of become a staple in this town, So that's what encouraged us to come to this town for our business.
You've been here 5-ish years. Yeah, yep. Empty buildings, but
Yeah,
that's an opportunity. If we can identify a jean store, a shoe store, and then I do get phone calls. I've probably had a half a dozen just since I've been manager. What is Cedar Springs missing? I don't know. Now I can say a jean store, a shoe store, a this, a that. I mean, this is great information
Well,
for me to have in my pocket.
And once we get into talking about, things like business recruitment and that sort of thing, there's definitely actionable tools to, kind of capitalize on that with. So if that's the direction the DDA wants to go. Okay. Since I'd like to pivot from where I was originally going to take this, just based on conversation. I want to keep looking externally and not go to the DDA as an organization yet. Okay. So bear with me on this. And if I forget to come back, somebody throw something at me. Okay. Downtown's biggest weaknesses. Okay. Not having enough businesses. We've talked about that at length. Bring more businesses downtown. Snow removal, that was kind of one. Improve parking, push a facade program. Is there an existing facade grant
Yes.
program? There
Yeah.
is. Okay.
But so I have 4 applications for you guys to consider on Monday. So from 1 last year to 4 this year.
Yes.
Well, that's up.
Yeah,
That's up. What's your total budget for the facade?
right now 15,000, 5,000 each, 3.
Okay, you're gonna start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. More diverse businesses, so yeah, that's definitely a common theme. Okay, streetscape plan, signage standard, lighting standard, color choices, landscaping plan. So this was a really interesting comment where it's like hodgepodge, I think of as sort of a patchwork, band-aids, that sort of thing, not like a holistic sort of like vision. And some communities have been it looks like maybe that one got cut off, my bad. But some communities really hesitate to get into design standards and that sort of thing when it comes to buildings and whatnot, because it feels very regulatory and like very big brother and that sort of thing. But I would say if you're funding a facade grant program, it's like use the carrot, not the stick. Some communities get very hardcore, especially if it's like a national historic district or something like that. Like Lowell has a national historic district, and there are very specific ways you can and cannot work on the facades of your buildings. Overall, their facades are in great shape, but it's because that sort of hard, sort of regulatory thing has been put in there. So sorry, a little bit of a digression there. But yeah, obsolete storefronts, empty spaces. We talked about, some vacancy and that sort of thing. Thoughts on weaknesses. And I know that was a question I asked later, if you could change one thing. If there was one of these weaknesses that if you fixed would be the biggest change to move forward, what would it be? Is it just fewer empty storefronts? Is it fixing up buildings? Is it the physical transportation infrastructure that you're talking about? What would be the magic bullet?
Fix empty buildings, my opinion.
Vacancy is the biggest issue.
Why couldn't council of the city come up with if you have an empty building, you have to put something in the window instead of just a dirty effing window. Okay? Like put a sign in it. Make them put a sign in it. Some kind of sign.
Well, there's a couple businesses downtown. We do have an ordinance on the books. They pay $25 a month for a vacant and abandoned building.
You have a vacant building ordinance?
We do. But 25
That's
bucks, really? They'll either sell it
Fire.
or tear it down, so I think we need to fix the ordinance to.
I don't mean physically light a fire. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was not on record, right?
do.
Yeah.
It needs to be higher.
Yeah.
People, if you have a building in our town and you are not fixing it up or tearing it down or renting it out, you are doing a disservice to our town.
Everybody, including yourself.
It's 25 a month.
We need, people call me every day looking for a place to rent in this town. Every day.
For business
For
or?
businesses. And then I show them and then no, we don't like that business. And it makes me want to pound my head on the wall.
Yeah, well, if it's $900 a month rent, it'd be a big problem.
For some of these were like good businesses.
Make them.
I'd buy a sign, for, what's the name, a vacant window. I'd buy a sign that says Vader Hyde Ford that way. Choice One Bank that way. With an arrow, just something so they don't look so ugly.
Also should make them clean the windows, clean the outside, paint them, like make them, they shouldn't look like an abandoned building.
Man, and you still should shovel the walk.
Look,
Sorry to ask.
Yes. Pretty and clean paint? No, I mean, there's.
Definitions of,
Yeah.
yeah. Like one thing that we experimented with. One of the things we experimented with when I was in Manistee was there were always these, 2 or 3 buildings that just always looked like crap. And it's like there was no stick to get them to do it. They just paid the fines. So we had just some volunteers that were like, we just asked the property owner, hey, can we just spend a weekend and paint, the trim? Can we do it just to dress it up just because we're freaking sick of looking at it? And again, it's a Band-Aid and it's not a long-term solution, but it was something. And it's like, look, just this little bit of elbow grease and a, couple $100 worth of paint made everybody feel better about that. Some people were very anti that because they're like, all you're doing is enabling the property owner just to continue to be a deadbeat. We're like, at it. Something just something to, there are communities that have gotten very creative just in terms of like if not us, then who, sort of thing, you know? But the fact that you guys already have a vacant building ordinance, I feel like that's a holy grail that more communities need to embrace that, I would also say. Up that, because the whole point is to disincentivize hanging out on a building and just letting it sort of be vacant and rot. That's the whole point. So can I go back to Laura, what you were saying about inquiries of businesses that are looking for space in the downtown? Can you say that? I think that was like a side, but can you articulate what you
so-
were saying?
I have businesses call me a lot, right? That want to rent a building in town, and so I will show. In downtown. I'll show them the building, and then, the property owner says, we don't think this is a good use of the space. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this would help our downtown. Like, it just makes me crazy. Because, and
They want to rent it, but the landlord says no?
What would not be desirable? What would, give me an example of it.
example of one that I was so upset that they said absolutely no to. So there was a building in our town that's been vacant for a little bit. It's not a fabulous building, it has some issues, right? And so I had a vet. Wanted to put a vet's office there. Tell me that doesn't bring people into town.
I'd come.
Exactly. I'm like, right across the street, they work with my rescue. I can take my rescue doggies over there. I literally had to drive to Wyoming today to her storage unit where she's doing a vet. Well, it's in a storage unit. It's actually a building in the storage unit, but got heat and everything where we had to rent because I literally could not find anybody that would rent her. And I'm like, and she wanted to be in Cedar Springs so bad. I mean, agreed to the rent price, agreed to everything, agreed to some issues that they were having within the building, and they said no. And so I'm like, are you kidding me? And then there's other empty buildings in our town without a sign in them. You don't know how to contact the property owners. They're just empty. What? It just makes me crazy when I have these good businesses that want to come to town and you get, just stonewalled. Right? I mean, I even offered him my building in Howard City. I'm like, just go there. And literally, I told her she could rent for free because I just was trying to find her a place, right? But she really wanted to be in Cedar Springs. How sad is that? In that other building, there was none. Because the same property owner owns a bunch of them that are empty. Right?
If I was just driving through, or let's say I was biking on the trail and I came and stopped and had dinner and walked through downtown, I'm like, this is a cute downtown. I might want to do something here. Who would I call to inquire about?
Yeah. They could come to the local realtor. They come to me and I'm like, I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of empty buildings, but
So you're saying there's one person that owns a good amount of empty buildings, raising that ordinance for having
that's
empty
what
buildings
they're-
to
like,
do
they
that.
just wanna see certain businesses in there, so they, either
Say
will
no to
say
anything.
yes or no or whatever, and just to me, that made no sense, cause that was, I mean, vet's office would be.
Yeah,
So that's a situation where.
Would be awesome.
there you go.
So that's a situation where a much steeper vacant property monthly charge would light a fire for them to maybe not be so, like, it's like at $25 a month, it's like, I can wait it out. I can wait until my perfect, tenant comes in. I mean, ultimately, you also don't want it to be where it's like somebody's desperate to rent out to whoever is the first person who walks in the door. There needs to be a,
Yeah.
sort of a happy medium.
Yeah, but I mean, certain. Listen, I own a building in this town, right? And I'm born and raised here, and I'm never gonna say rent this building to somebody that I don't think is going to be, do you know? Like, they're gonna be my neighbor.
No, that's definitely a challenge, yeah. Are there some empty buildings that just are not like whether they want this type of business or not, but it's just like you said, you just can't get a hold of the people. You don't know. Okay.
Don't you, do you as the city know who owns the properties?
How many empty buildings do we currently have? I mean, I think I maybe can count.
Like storefront? I mean, cause like where you were, Austin, there was how many storefronts? One building, but how many storefronts? Two storefronts were in there.
Both are empty.
Oh, they're both empty now?
I think
No,
the photographer is out of
is she
there,
out?
isn't she? I don't know, maybe not. Maybe she's not. Yeah.
I have no idea.
I think this building across the street here, that used to be the bar. Somebody needs to either tear it down or whatever, I don't know. It changed hands recently into a something.
That building just needs to be torn down.
Yeah, they paid $1 for it, I think. Is what
What's the other bar down here?
Round up.
Roundup.
Okay.
Mhm.
Carl, I think we currently have.
Those spots, I was like, "Oop."
There is a period of time where we don't start building them like the day they move out, right? They got a period of time. to Get somebody else in there, but then if at a certain point, okay, it's still
When it
vacant,
becomes chronic, yeah.
then they start getting charged.
2 of them are at Jose's. One is at Austin's old place. Right?
Yeah, and that's a nice little building.
And that's a nice little building, right?
Built a lot into that.
South Main. I think, yeah. I
And
was
that's,
trying to think
that
what
building's
else.
ready to go, like,
We put a lot into that.
And upstairs, right?
yeah, and they're
All
all,
like redone, I think.
Yeah, they redid all of
yeah,
them.
they're really nice up there.
Yeah.
Living there?
It's a nice building.
It really is a nice building.
All brick. It's pretty building, yeah.
So, Barry, is there anything vacant down there where you are?
Just, not our building, but they're past the car place that. Yeah, like on Vernon Park, if they remember.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Or
You're right.
So again, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but is it fair to say that does this DDA want to get hands-on with impacting vacancy and sort of the business mix downtown?
I don't think we have the funds yet. If we can build up a fund balance, we could approach Judy Rogers and say, what, name your price, we're buying, the DDA is buying your building, right? Probably. Or Jose's or whatever.
What's your guys' capture right now?
And we have 80,000 in fund balance and our annual capture is about 80,000.
Okay, and is it just the straight TIF or do you do the millage on top?
Just a tip.
Straight TIF, okay, all right.
We have a mixed-use district on Second Street. And the houses along Second Street that face Main Street. In that zone, you could have a business live in. You could, an attorney could go in there, a small business. All those houses over there on Second Street that face Main Street. You could have a business in.
If you live there.
That's all in the CBD, so it's permitted for, yeah.
Live there. You have the option to
There
live in
used
it
to be
and
a-
have a business.
there used to be a crochet lady down there that sold yarn.
Could be, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Well, maybe a vet clinic, I don't know.
Yeah, because a lot of
That
times.
is
my husband went-
available for business development at this point.
So I'm gonna keep us moving forward, and I think we've already sort of gotten into this conversation a little bit in terms of the opportunities for downtown Cedar Springs. And you know, we've largely talked about the vacant buildings and the thriving businesses and you know, those sorts of things, but we haven't really talked about some of the things in here like downtown events, like the streetscape plan, like the built environment, you know, sort of stuff. So I guess what are everybody's thoughts on that?
Events?
I guess those two buckets is like from there's like an events bucket that I'd like to bring up and a built environment bucket that I'd like to bring up.
From compared to what it used to. I came here, this place was a deadbeat place with a trailer park that nobody go near in 1970. So, am I right, Rosie? All right. So it says, I mean, it's taken time, a lot of years, but it's better, better, better every year. Every year it gets better. I know it does. And for some reason, it's, I don't know, it's just the times or whatever, people moving, having, you know, the influx of people in Grand Rapids and North. There's better people. That's all there is to it. It's not a lot of riffraff like there used to be. There was a lot of it. All right. And I don't know, you all don't know it, but I know it. and Rosie knows it. Said, what we've done downtown with events, we've improved. I've seen them in the last few years, since the library, really, the amphitheater. People have got on board, social district, social district in Rockford, you just take your beer, you empty it in a glass, you walk out the door. Get in your car if you want.
Here,
I know you can, my daughter did it last night, she said, hey, give me the beer, I went.
Is the DDA responsible for any events currently?
No.
But,
help
but
sponsor.
contributes to?
We contribute, yes.
Okay.
Ball drop that just happened, we gave what, 2,000? We split it with the chamber, 2,000. We sponsor all the summer concert series at the amphitheater. Budget's $5,000.
Total?
Yeah. But that was mentioned in one of the comments. Maybe we up it to 10,000 and bring in more bands or more expensive band, whatever, change it up a little bit. What else do we, oh, movies at the Kent Theater.
To that.
the bike,
Bike race. Cedar Blitz bike race.
No, normal movies or like special event sort of things? Okay, okay.
So Cedar Blitz bike race is a perfect example. This will be the 4th year. They started out, you know, limiting like a couple hundred racers. Didn't close Main Street. Now it's grown to 700 racers. This past July, we closed Main Street. We signed it well ahead of time, told people how to get around. 2025, I bet you there's gonna be 1,000 racers.
What's that called?
Cedar Blitz bike race.
Okay.
Or maybe just a comment. It's big things in our town, right? But when the chamber puts on an event, or essentially Perry and I and a handful of other people put on an event, we do it specifically to bring commerce to the town. That's our specific goal. So we're shutting the road down. We're not making them do anything else besides hang out at fire pits, drink some beer, watch the ball drop, listen to some music, and get your booze and, you know, your shop on downtown. That's what we do. So yeah, the chamber.
Okay. Okay,
Very.
gotcha. Okay.
So I think it's great that we have other events, but not every event brings commerce. They might bring a lot of people, but does that event bring commerce to our town? So that's the thing that we have to think about. Like, events are fabulous, but events that don't bring commerce, what is the point?
So I'm gonna say amen to what you said, because that is always a conversation that comes up when we're having these goal setting things with communities, because not everybody realizes that not all events are created equal. Not all events have the same focus. And in my experience, the way that I distill them down is like, events are basically, they serve one of 3 purposes. One, they are a fundraiser for your organization. That can be the sole focus, right? 1, or I guess 2, it is what I would call an image type of event, which is the warm fuzzy, bringing people downtown, having a great experience in the community, you know, primarily for your residents or, you know, that sort of thing. And then the third one is it's intended to ring cash registers. It's intended to bring commerce, like you said. And I think, and I always encourage communities, if they are to kind of look at your menu of events that you have in your town. And if they're all in the touchy-feely and they're not raising you money and they're not ringing cash registers, maybe think about diversifying the types of events that you're doing. If they're all weighted to raising money and it's not actually giving people a really cool experience of the downtown, maybe you need to think about different ways to do it. So I'm glad that you said that, because that is something to think about moving forward. I think this DDA is a little bit unique so far in my experience, in that you're financially supporting events, but there's no events that you are in charge of. I think it's a very good position to be in, where that's not like on your shoulders to put on the Red Flannel Festival or to put on, you know, whatever, because that can be a huge time and resource suck for a small DDA. But if the thought is that we're really missing some type of event that accomplishes X, that might be something to think about from the DDA perspective. Just throwing it out there.
I think everybody here is involved in some kind of event.
Yeah,
And we'd be spread pretty thin to try to have the DDA put on an event.
No, I'm just throwing it out there. Yeah, yeah. Well, and it sounds like there's already pretty tight collaboration with the other entities, like the chamber and folks that are doing those other ones, which is.
I know that, talk about events, there's a lot of little events you don't even know about. Like, we sponsor a lot of little events. We go to the school a lot. I don't personally, but I used to. We teach kids how to buy a car when when they get old. Nobody teaches that.
That's awesome.
You know, well, we do that when they ask us and we go. You know, we'll take a couple guys and volunteer. That's one of the things. And we've done drives and that kind of stuff. A lot of it, some of it's Ford sponsored too, but it's usually with the schools, you know, but we do that. And then we do other things too. I don't know. Thinking Rockford, the Rockford Festival they have, we get involved in that, but so there's other things besides the major events, you know, that are happening.
So,
The bank does too. I know the bank does sponsor a lot of things.
so we touched on sort of the event bucket, and I want to give everybody a break here in a couple minutes, but before I do that, what is everybody's thoughts on like the built environment, the hardscape, the streetscape, the things you can touch and feel and that sort of stuff in the downtown? What has been the DDA's role with that kind of stuff? Or has that primarily been the city?
We
does
just
all?
repaved Main Street.
Yeah.
But last year we said, okay, how many garbage cans do we have? How many are dented, need to be painted? We painted all the garbage cans. They're all black. They're
We meaning
uniform.
the city?
The city for
Okay.
the DDA.
Okay.
Cause my DPW staff here and there, oh, I'm gonna go grab a garbage can, need something to do today or whatever. I think we've kind of focused, I mean, the road's good, sidewalks are good, garbage cans are good.
Flower boxes.
Flower boxes.
Yee-hoo.
We did hanging pots again last year. Now that we have a staff person dedicated to water the flower pots. well,
DDA funded or city funded?
DDA funded.
Okay,
And she also goes to the concerts on Wednesday nights, helps the bands get set up, gives them the check at the end of the night, kind of watches the
Wow,
amphitheater
okay.
area.
okay,
So staff, it takes a person to do that.
sure. So do we feel like the built environment is
Better.
just like check, but there's not any big, huge pressing, like, we've got to deal with our pavers that are going all over the place, or I'm just making stuff up, but
I think the only thing that I could see is it'd be nice if we had plugs at every tree, so we don't have extension cords running. Like, if you go outside and you look, right, cause,
oh, you're talking for like the Christmas lights and stuff?
yeah,
Okay,
that makes it sound longer than they're supposed to.
Who pays for the red lights around the lamp posts? Is that DDA or chamber? or-
Both.
Okay,
Both.
those are great. They are really great.
I know, I love them. But I mean, to not have extension cords everywhere would be really, really fabulous.
See, all up and down Main Street, you're talking.
oh, I know,
thousands.
I hear you,
Thousands.
yeah.
But put it on the list, I mean,
If we can dream big and think maybe 15 years from now, when they're tearing up, you know, whatever, they can say, this is something that we talked about you know, 15 years ago, and this would be smart to do because we have these lights, right? Same thing in the heart. We drop extension cords everywhere, and it's, in my opinion, dangerous. So
But it's not the ideal situation. Right, right. And part of this process, before we wrap up the process, will be kind of that wish list. Everything from powering every pole to having $100,000 property acquisition fund to a very beefy facade improvement grant every year. That's gonna be something we're gonna have to sort through, like, okay, we can't want all of these things because that means we will get none of these things. We have to prioritize, okay, because, you know, resources are finite, right? So it's like, what are we gonna try to knock off in sequence? So, okay, let's take a quick 5-minute break, grab bathroom, popcorn, in whatever order. Yeah, okay.
I might have that thing.
All right, so I'm jumping around on the agenda here, just based on conversation and that sort of thing. I think we have, just by the nature of the conversation, we have covered some of the things that in some communities takes a little bit more like of me pulling things out of people. But before we get into actually like the ranking of the stuff and like forcing some of those hard conversations, I wanted to come back to this difficult conversation bucket. Things in particular. One, this getting newsletter to downtown businesses, that kind of dovetails in with the welcome person to introduce the DDA. That was something that came up frequently enough that I think it was enough of a theme, like the communication piece with downtown business owners. I think there were some comments like, yeah, some business owners don't really know what the DDA does and that sort of thing. I guess, how does this group feel about the connectivity with? Says you think that's pretty solid? Like, what is the communication model right now? Is there like a master downtown business email list and that's how things are communicated? Are there block captains? Is there like, I guess, what does that look like in the downtown?
They all go
I
to
see
Perry.
smiles. Is this a weird subject?
No,
Okay.
I
I think Perry should address.
has no communication like digitally or, you know, electronically with downtown businesses. We
When
don't.
you say the city, you mean the
the
DDA?
s- No, the city.
Okay.
Or the DDA.
Okay.
I don't, maybe the chamber, are most businesses downtown a part of the chamber?
Not necessarily.
No.
I say there's more of them in downtown that's not part of the chamber, they do part.
Okay, so
and
that,
is,
so they're not getting chamber.
But they still come.
Okay. They know you're the go-to for what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if
They
they
don't go to you, how do they get it?
Right. That's.
Well, ideally, I think that, you know, if we could have a way, some people disagree with me because people don't like city because it's government. But really, it should be the city's website where they can go to for that. Because people, well, that's what your chamber's for. I'm like, well, your chamber is a 501c6, so technically your chamber is. A lot of the general public needs to be re-educated about how the world really works when you get rid of, well, I thought. And so that, if the city can come up with a way with its partners to re-educate some of the public, not calling them ignorant or anything other than the fact that ignorant means don't know. You don't know, which is the real case without
Mhm.
being lightly belittle on anybody. That's not the idea. The idea is they just don't know. And there should be a way of educating people. But the city website should be able to have a link to. If they have the opportunity, people just have to get the events or what they want to see. So the city makes that available. If they don't get it to the city, it's not on the city. Not the city's fault. It's the ones that don't get it.
Two-way street.
Yes.
Yeah. So, hypothetical. I own a property downtown and how would I know about the facade grant program? Hypothetical question.
told people that I know about it, and that's
I
how.
did the same.
I would like to. What would we like to see in its place? Well, again, in an ideal world, how would communication work with our downtown business owners? Don't think about all the work it's gonna take. Don't think about who's gonna do it. What would just be?
Email would be,
Why don't we just have an app?
there's an app for that.
Always, if we got a new business coming to town, like, is there some type of welcome package for them to, this is where you go for this type of information, these are things available to you. If you ever need any assistance with this, like, kind of just more of a informational packet on where your business is,
Any town that does that, and I own it's in a few towns. I have never gotten that from any town.
I thought what you said, Perry, a link on the city website to a DDA.
If the DDA has a Facebook page, I don't know whether your current DDA chair would be interested in also putting it on like Instagram, 'cause not everybody's on all of them. But there is, you can do things with Google. It's like if you're doing if the city, you can post things on your Google. Well, more people just Google. They don't actually go to a website and go to Facebook. They go into the searching, whether it's Bing, whether it's Siri, whatever, and then it just happens to be whatever's on the top. So some of them that are staying away from social media are actually just going on to Google and putting on their Google list.
You don't have to build an account, which is terribly irritating to a lot of us with passwords.
Tell us,
What's that?
tell
No,
us.
I don't, every community approaches this different and nobody has like the silver bullet to figure it out, but something like an email listserv or something like that does seem like it would be kind of the low hanging fruit. It's just a matter of who owns it,
Well,
who.
we don't have any problem. I know of. Somebody in violation come, we send them a note, right? That's it to the note. You know what's available. This is all, it's a positive thing. It'll go along with a negative thing when they get a thing, fix your broken something.
Our water bill that we get every single month, why is there a spot on there that says you're a business owner in town? Or a building owner in town? We're offering a facade grant. Click here.
I didn't take a water bill, but I thought a tax, when you get your tax, tax statement.
Any businesses or any communities that you have businesses in that do that. That kind of red flags me of like, why isn't somebody doing? I mean, how many businesses or vacant businesses have downtown, or how many new businesses do we have in that someone like you who's on the DDA or
Have no
someone else
idea.
could show up and say, here's a welcome packet, welcome to town. Take a minute to do something like that. None of the communities are doing it, but that doesn't mean it's not beneficial for us to consider doing something like that.
Are there
we
ribbon
tried
cuttings here?
Yeah.
Do you guys do ribbon cuttings?
to do that as a chamber, right? So we said, all the businesses, give us your swag, and when a new business opens, or when a home is sold, or anything like that, we will give them your bag with, a bag with all the swag in it that gives all the stuff. How many people donated, Perry?
And for makes things happen.
That would be me, Harry, Christine, Sally. So the problem that we had is nobody wanted to give us stuff to do. I mean, we've tried this. Trust me, we've tried it. We've tried it.
No change.
Yeah.
Nobody asked us.
Well, and part of it is too, right? Like, yeah, maybe nobody asked you because we're all volunteer board. All of us have big jobs. I don't have time to schlep around and.
But we do have a DDA coordinator now that maybe that's something that
Have
that
she
person
come
would
back?
do,
Yeah.
Businesses that open up this summer, she could stop in and introduce herself and drop off
Well,
flyer with their Facebook page
Oh.
and just basic information about the
Something
DDA that
made
says
up.
that meetings are once a month on Mondays. We'd like to invite you to our
Just
DDA meetings.
maintains the
Just
flower bed.
page
Oh, that was that same.
And then the girl, she attends the concerts on Wednesday night.
I'm on the DDA. I'm like, well, I didn't even know that was coming. Like, what, I had no idea. Or if somebody calls me and says, what are they building outside of town? I don't know.
New coin shop. I didn't know it was there. The guy told me, Reynolds told me, he said my competition, he's not competition, but you know, he
Yeah.
said it was.
Yeah.
He sells jewelry. I didn't know he was there.
Across from me. He sells antique jewelry and, sells coins and like,
Oaklands.
Oakland.
Is the chamber staffed? Okay, I'll volunteer. Okay. So this is something that I'm gonna highlight to come back to because I think that is like potentially a collaborative opportunity that will require very little bandwidth moving forward to kind of accomplish a method of communication and also sort of a quasi welcome wagon. And it doesn't have to be this big, huge, like, here's a bunch of stuff, whatever. It's just, there are a couple of organizations that are here to support you. And, you know, I don't want to get down there, but there's solutions that have been done to kind of accomplish that. The other thing I wanted to bring up and talking about this kind of collaboration with the chamber, other than the DDA financially contributing to some of the chamber's events and programs, is there any other like examples of collaboration between the two entities? Like tangible project initiative sort of things, other than just everybody knows each other and just gets along and.
Seems like there is. We're always talking about it. Every meeting we talk about something with the chamber. I don't know if this would it be, but
Well, unless you count the floors on the chamber.
You're the connective tissue between the, yeah. No, that's a good thing. Okay. Okay. Easy enough. All right. So I'm gonna, for this last half hour tonight, I want to see how far we can get with what I asked everybody to do in the survey. And again, this is not how it needs to end. This is just kind of how everybody initially weighed it going in, is when I put out rank order the importance of the following items to the future of Cedar Springs downtown district, with one being the most important. Okay. So again, I had to take a little bit of liberty with what was in TIF plan, what was in the last planning documents that Darla provided, that sort of thing. Took a little bit of liberty with some of the verbiage and that sort of thing, but when I forced everybody to rank these, and I know that's difficult to do, sometimes you're splitting hairs, this is how it laid out. 1 to 10. And the average here means between ranking things a 1 or ranking things a 10, this was the average score. So the lower means the higher priority you all thought it was. Okay. So commercial to business development, no surprise based on tonight's conversation. Downtown, establish and grow downtown recreation and signature events. Based on tonight's conversation, I am very surprised to see this at number 2. We haven't talked about recreation, and we kind of talked about, we kind of have events, have enough events. So it's not really as important tonight as people said it was, or there's things that people want to say tonight that they're not saying. So this is where I get to ask the questions like, where's the disconnect of this being tied for first place when doing an online survey, but kind of crickets about it tonight?
I don't believe that.
What am I missing?
I don't think that's right.
I think it's wrong.
I would no way would I put that number 2. Would anybody here put that in high priority? Say it if you did.
We have a ton of events and they're increasing all the time.
Like
I-
just in the 5 years I've been here, we've got more events now than
I'm not saying you're
we
wrong.
did 5 years ago.
Chalk this up to maybe folks not understanding the ranking system, or it just, so we're saying, and again, that's why we're having the conversation. It's just not,
I think maybe it's there because we want to grow events.
Okay, fair enough.
I may have said that, quite honestly, because like the New Year's Eve event that we are doing, and this is the second year, we want to grow that event, and I think that that event could potentially be ginormous, right, for our little town.
Recruit volunteers is part of the deal too.
Getting people to volunteer on New Year's Eve is like passing them to cut their arm off.
Instead of like, we don't need to add more things on the calendar, let's just do. what-
Amazing, yeah.
Okay,
Period. Event that he puts on, the Ren Fair, that is gonna be, that has the potential to be huge. I mean, I go to Holly every year and that is like dessert. Easy.
so you guys are bucking the trend on some of these things, because most of the groups that I deal with, whether they're DDAs or chambers, just want like more stuff on the calendar, which is a challenge to, it's like, how do you do something every 2 weeks throughout the year? And this is unique that you guys are leaning into like doing fewer things better. That's great.
Volunteers, it's all the way around.
But I
It's
feel
just
like
the way it is.
the season for events is usually the warmer weather, and we already do music in the park every week, and, be movies for the kids and stuff on the weekend.
In the winter time. So,
A new event?
yeah, I think it would be amazing.
You're in charge.
No, somebody else can do it.
I think that's part of the
Just
struggle
capturing
too,
that.
is there's all these great ideas, but who's gonna do them at the end of the day?
Mhm.
Who has the time to do them?
Well, the people, which you know, Rose, because you're on.
Usual suspects that are raising their hands for everything. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so going further down the list, strategic property acquisition, it's like you were saying, make somebody an offer they can't refuse to get it out of their hands and actually do something with it. Finalization of existing building stock, we talked about that. Marketing the downtown district. So we haven't really talked about this. Is there like a concerted marketing effort for downtown, like as a shopping district? Is there outbound marketing for, outside of like an event or something? Just come to downtown Cedar Springs. It's a great place. I mean, and this can be either the DDA or the chamber. Is there anybody doing that sort of thing?
There is an Explore downtown Cedar Springs Facebook.
Okay.
To put their events on for the downtown.
And who runs that, Perry? Who runs that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said explore Cedar Springs?
For downtown.
So like not officially a chamber thing, not officially in anything. It's just
Right.
kind of organic in the community. Okay.
Excuse me.
So that was number 5. So not the most important, not the least in terms of doing marketing. Do we feel like that's something that we want to try to take up and do a little bit more of? Is organized marketing and promotion of the downtown as a place to come and hang out, come and have dinner, come and spend money?
Yeah, I feel like if we can get people to come down, and be more inviting for businesses, and more businesses, more people, it's kind of a bunches is making sure that they want to come down here to visit the businesses we have.
We do have the bicycle air pump and then the bicycle repair station at the White Pine Trail. I don't know. They get used much, but they're there. And I don't think do we advertise that at all on our website? It's on the map.
Bike route map. At that location.
Wonder if that's on the White Pine Trail website. Be something, I'll take a look at that.
Okay, pedestrian and cyclist improvements, you were just kind of talking about that. Who, does the city or the DDA put money into the physical trail? Because that's an association, right? White Pine Trail Association? They handle all of that? There's no
We mow the grass,
within a
Along-
certain strip
Mhm,
along the,
correct.
okay,
the city does.
within city limits? Okay. No other maintenance is the responsibility here locally? Thing? Okay,
Trash, but that's part of the White Pine Trail Association.
We need some businesses out there, in my opinion. That would help us so much.
We got a spot for it.
Where?
Right, we got the White Pine Trail, development overlay where White Pine Trail businesses could develop along the White Pine Trail.
I know, but where is it located at?
Right along the White Pine Trail.
I know. Basically,
I'd have to show it to you on the zone.
is it right here? Is it right here?
Let me say it goes
Here's
from,
the amphitheater.
it goes all along in there. I'd have to get the zoning map
So
out.
we could build businesses back here? Why aren't we doing that?
what's that?
I didn't know this was even a possibility. Like, why aren't we promoting that? This would be huge. I mean, there's a creek that runs right through here. This is the trail. I mean, that,
Even those shipping containers.
even shipping container stores would be ginormous. I'll buy one.
Shipping container stores,
Yeah,
they're super easy.
they just drop them and
And then you get like little boutique stores.
if you'll let me do it, I'll buy one tomorrow.
Specific parcel?
Well, there's a
All
whole
along
spot. That would be such, like, why don't we have a bike shop there? Why don't we have? That's a lot of opportunity. I didn't even know that real estate was available.
Get it off the wall, but I can show you.
So what I'm trying to do here is just in broad brushstrokes, kind of capture what this group, and again, we will get into the details, but capture what this group feels like, okay, we want to spend some time identifying projects, initiatives, that sort of thing that meet these sort of goals. Based on the conversation, it seems like you guys definitely want to get involved in business development downtown. Seems like you want to figure out how to grow existing events in the downtown. You want to, again, in an ideal world, get into the property development game. And whether it's buying out a deadbeat property owner or investing in, just get more involved in the nuts and bolts of that. And trying to help revitalize existing building stock, like a beefed up facade grant program and that sort of thing. I know we kind of talked about, yeah, marketing would be great if we could. Yeah, maybe doing some stuff with the White Pine Trail. I'm kind of trying to do process of elimination a little bit because we can't do all the things, right? That was the biggest thing that came out. That was my biggest takeaway from the document from whatever it was, 2021 or whatever, is like, there is so much freaking stuff on that. There is no way an organization with 5 staff people could accomplish all of that. So I'm trying to, again, focus, do fewer things better, right? So are we comfortable with me leaving this stuff green? Is there anything you want to make, like, I'm thinking red, yellow, green, right? Is there anything that we would want to maybe highlight yellow that it's like, okay, at the end of the day, if we feel like we have a little bit of bandwidth to plug into this, let's throw marketing in there, or let's throw signage in there. Is there anything in here you feel like we want to keep into the mix? Not high priority, but in there.
If you're gonna grow, you're gonna get bigger, you're gonna have more people and you're gonna need parking.
I agree with that. That's always been something on my radar as, like I said, Greenville, I love how they have parking behind every single business all the way down. And if we want this community to grow and businesses to be welcome down here, I think parking is a bigger one on my radar than what's listed up.
I also have a pet peeve, and everybody that knows it. Snow. I hate snow. Get it off the sidewalks. I don't care how you do it. I don't care. I'll pay, we'll donate. I don't know. But I've done it myself. There was years ago, I walked down the street with a killing weeds. All right, volunteer to do that. I don't volunteer for much anymore because I'm too old. But I do shovel snow.
Is that up to the property owners now to do that on their sidewalks?
Kind of. No, but not, it's a long story, but.
City's doing a great job of it this year, I must tell you.
But
Mhm.
still, it piles up there.
Okay.
You can drive
The
a car-
DDA,
Yeah.
more. And we fixed our machine, so we have a little orange snowmobile, snow whatever thrower.
Snow blower.
I'm like Bernie, I don't want any snow on the sidewalk from building to the
Yeah.
street,
Yeah,
but
You can where people, and they've done a better job. We haven't had that much snow. The big snow, that snow pile, you can't park a car there. You gotta park away from the street, causes that, it's hard. Anyway, that's just a pet peeve, that's all.
One of four cars parking at 2 parking spots out front, they can all get to the.
Yeah, well, but you know what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna amend the marketing thing and put including like specific signage like we talked about, food this way. Just to keep that in that bucket. And again, we're not eliminating any of these today, but it'll just help focus our conversation. Is there anything else on there that isn't green or yellow that we want to make sure we keep in the discussion?
Piece of, what the downtown district does and the events that go on and all of the efforts that the DDA does, it doesn't mean anything if people don't know about it. I can't tell you the number of people who said, there's a New Year's Eve event. There's a disconnect in getting the information and marketing these events and marketing these types of services that the DDA is offering. You can move mountains, but if nobody knows about it, I think marketing needs to be a little bit higher.
I agree. I agree.
Oh, that's great. Now, we will get to the point where I'm going to force you guys to say what's more important than the other, but that's not for this, that's not for tonight. Where this sits now? Okay. All right. So this is where we get into a little bit more of the minutia. And again, we don't have to get into all this stuff tonight, but I wanted to make sure I included basically everything from that, plan from a few years ago and had it on here at least to sort of hash out. So this gets into basically how to go about growing events and recreation and stuff. If we feel like, you know what, Travis, we don't need to take the time to hash through all of these, we can address that in just sort of like a generative conversation next time. That's fine. We don't need to take the time. That's the way my head is leaning based on the conversation tonight, but this is your guys' strategy. So what do you think? This is like the tactics. This isn't the what, this is the how. Which again, don't necessarily have to go through all this tonight.
Event coordinator, which has been wonderful. Plenty of events, just need more volunteers.
Some of these were a little, I think, semantics, a little bit redundant, but that's the way it was on it. So, yeah.
We all say we gotta communicate with these downtown.
Yeah.
Send them a letter. Okay, why can't the events coordinator pay them more money, whatever, hired more hours, whatever, and have them responsible for, I could come up with a letter. Okay, we got a new business. Just a note, we got a new business at 25 Lane, huh?
Email.
Well, I know a piece of paper they'll read, emails. I don't read emails. Okay, a lot of people, I do, but I don't. I delete most of them.
Contact would be, I think, more.
I think it's.
Yeah, like.
And that wouldn't be hard to do. I mean,
A mailer.
new business, that's one. Even a new house in town. You get somebody move in. Put a note in their mailbox. Event would,
That would be hard.
I know, even, but I'm just throwing something out there. Why couldn't you somehow notify, if you got a new business, like the guy in the coin store. I don't know, I didn't know he was there. But he doesn't know he was there either, unless we tell him what's available,
Sure. I think anybody that's in the DDA district should have some kind of point of contact occasionally anyways. I'm sure there's a lot of homes here, they have no idea,
They aren't either.
businesses.
People by work don't even know. Where you going?
Yeah.
Going to DDA, oh.
So I'm adding in here, and again, I'm just editing because that's what it's up here for. So this, and I just called it enhancing DDA to business communications. I mean, that's kind of been an undercurrent of a lot of the things we've discussed tonight. And we can get into the details next time of like how to do that with new businesses, what sort of resources to bring to the table. But
Yeah.
Well, let's do something.
it's like, how's the rubber gonna meet the road, right? Yeah, yeah. Well, and I guess I'm taking a step back. In an ideal world, and there are ways to do this electronically, and I know some people hate email, some people love email, whatever. There are ways to have all of your downtown businesses on the same, whether it's a Google group or whether it's an app or a text string or, you know, that sort of thing, where in an ideal world, you would be able to reach out as the director of the library and say, hey, everybody, I'm looking for businesses to participate in a scavenger hunt I'm having downtown or whatever. And it's like, you control the message. They reply directly back to you. Yes, I want to sign up and do, I'm making this up, but that's an example of, yeah. So something like that.
I'll show
Something
you
that
later.
Everybody has access to something
Yeah.
that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a DDA coordinator, or it doesn't have to be the city just doing outbound communication. It's everybody sort of communicating.
The Slack channel would be Slack.
So it's like, in theory, it wouldn't be that difficult to have some sort of DDA welcome card, like a postcard or something like that, that everybody here has, you know, a pile of them in their office. And new shop opens. Oh, I'm driving past, I'm Austin, I'm gonna pull over and just grab it out of my car and just say, hey, I'm a member of the DDA, saw your door was open, you know, we're here to support you. Here's how you get plugged into our communication. And it's a link to sign up to something. I mean, there's ways to do that. And you know what? If you're the fifth person to come in and show them that card and say, hey, we're here, what a great experience for a new business owner downtown, that it's like, man, I've only been open 3 days and I've had 6 people stop in and want to get me plugged in, you know? So I'm just saying there's low barrier to entry things to sort of do this kind of thing that isn't a ton of work once you get it going, right?
Minutes personally. I think that when a new business comes into town, the next time we have our DDA meeting, it should be, hey guys, did you know that this business came to town? Or, hey, did you know so-and-so is building outside of town? Like as a DDM member and as, you know, a real estate agent, people stop in and ask me, hey, what's that gonna be? And I'm like, yeah, let me make a couple phone calls. See what I can find out. I think it would be smart for us to know. I mean, I'm sure they asked you too, Jody, right? I mean, I'm sure it happened.
Yeah. I've had that, like when we were building the
about that?
sheriff's department and the
Yeah.
health department there. They're like, what's going on there?
And then there'll always be a dynamic in the community of, oh, go to Laura because she just knows everything that's going on. Or go to Jody because she knows everything that's going on. But that can't be the only way people get information, right? Yeah.
Even an invitation to the next DDA meeting. Can you come and tell us about your business so we can share that with the community?
That's good.
I'm a new business. I opened this date. This is what we do here, right?
How many of us have been to the new pet daycare?
Knew what?
I went to the opening, did you?
I didn't know where it is.
Have been there to daycare? Out by Cedar Animal Hospital. Like that's not right. As a DDA, we should know that is there. Just my opinion. And we all should know that there's now a coin shop in case you collect coins.
I told him by DDA. I bought some coins from him. Bought some silver round. They were made in China.
All right, so we've got a lot of good stuff to sort of hash out and continue in that conversation. But I like where this conversation is going, that everybody wants to sort of increase that engagement, because that's something that doesn't show up in terms of a nice new facade. helps all of this stuff, work better and that, kind of communication with everybody. One thing, and I know we're closing in on the end of our time tonight, but I wanted to get a little bit more clarity because I'm gonna go and try to wordsmith and refine some of this to where when I come back on, is it Monday? I'll have more of like a, what's the word? Sort of an action list of, okay, guys, based on our conversation last time, these are the things we need to hammer out. So I want to get a better sense from you all what your appetite is from getting involved in bringing downtown. So there are some communities, DDAs, et cetera. This became a big part of my role when I was in Manistee is what's the word? We did a retail leakage analysis to where it showed like the numbers of what dollars were leaving our zip code and being spent elsewhere. So that shows the gap, the opportunity for, okay, if there's $5 million leaving your community on an annual basis on boutique women's clothing, again, I'm making up an example. That means like, okay, you take that to somebody who wants to open a shop or a shop that you go in some other communities like, hey, would you like to open, another one in downtown Cedar Springs? By the way, there's $5 million that is ready for you, that is leaving the community. That can be a tool to utilize for those sorts of things. You can also work with property owners on, negotiate a reduced rent for a 6-month, 9-month, 12-month period to help a startup business, kind of get started, that sort of thing. I'm throwing out these examples as when you talk about bringing businesses to downtown, there are ways you can get very, very hands-on, or you can kind of just help tell the story and help spread the word and that sort of thing. I'm kind of trying to gauge where you guys want to, how hands-on you all want to get. Because that has been, to me, the number one thing that I feel like the conversation's been about is like, this is the big thing that we want to move the needle on.
We're not hands-on, we're just gonna continue the way we are. My opinion.
But it's also exceedingly difficult to do that level of stuff with an all-volunteer board.
Impossible.
I'm preaching to the choir, I know, but I'm just saying that's something to think through.
We need some staff.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
There's gotta be money for it somewhere.
So I'm hearing Laura say we need to get hands-on. What does everybody else think? What does city staff think? I mean, I'm curious what the chamber thinks. I mean, because that's kind of a paradigm shift of where the group has been prior to this point, right?
I think everybody's afraid to say we need to be more hands-on because they don't want something else slammed on them to do more work for free, right? Because all of us are very busy. So honestly, I was nervous to say it myself, just because everybody would be like, good, go ahead, Laura, we know you can do it, right? But I don't have time.
Bear in mind, at the end of, I'm hopeful, at the end of the meeting on Monday, everyone will walk out of this, okay, we are going to get hands-on with business development in our downtown, and this is how. And we're all comfortable with this. We're not walking out being like, well, there's no way in hell we're gonna get all that done. You guys are in charge of your own destiny, right? I'm just here to document and help sort of like steer a little bit and that sort of thing. So ultimately, if it's our role in business development is going to be for 2025, it's to inventory available properties in our downtown. What are all the lease rates, contacts for all the property owners, that sort of thing. If it's as simple as that, then great. That's a big win and a significant step than where you are today. These can be very bite-sized things. Rome wasn't built in a day or whatever tired analogy you want to use. So don't feel like you're taking on and shouldering all this stuff. You guys are in total control about how much you want to take on, how much you feel comfortable with.
You guys think it would be great to know who owns what and how much they get and if it's vacant or if they're just storing crap in it, right?
Yeah, The thing that scares me about being so hands-on is I don't have a whole lot of time to even have an own personal life because I'm busy running my business. So trying to be more hands-on in a whole nother project, just the timing for me makes it hard. But like you said, if we take smaller steps like that, that I can see being feasible.
But maybe, and again, I'm making this stuff up, but maybe your role isn't in that initial piece. Maybe your role is, hey, when we've got somebody who's kicking tires on downtown Cedar Springs, I'd be happy to sit down with them for a half hour from my perspective as a business owner and be like, this is why it's great to do business here. And just kind of be that testimonial, someone who walks the walk every day. Maybe that's your role, where that's not a ongoing lift. It's just maybe a handful of meetings a quarter. You know what I mean? Again, I'm making it up, but maybe that's an example, you know?
Sure, I would like that analysis. Like how much is leaving and in what market or what,
Oh, okay.
whatever.
Okay.
Um,
There's ways you can pay for it, but there's also ways you can kind of get the poor man's version for free. But yeah,
free's good.
We don't have a shoe store, we don't have a clothing store, we don't have a coat store. I mean, I can just go on and on and on about the things that, you know, I mean, yeah, we have some of that stuff at the Tractor Supply and stuff like that, but that isn't.
Walmart's taken away downtown. Okay, that's all there is to it. And Meijer also. But you can you be unique about it. And like you say, and have a unique blue jeans store. For example.
e-store?
Well, it's been open forever, and what do they specialize? Red Wing boots for, you know, people that wear work boots. And how many people drive to Greenville to get Red Wing boots?
Don't you think Amazon has taken a lot of that as well? I mean, you know, I can in 5 minutes order blue jeans, tennis shoes, and they'll be at my door tomorrow. Just right here.
But-
Certain brands, you can't.
But I would also say, and I would say this to any
Yeah, for
any
sure.
brick and mortar downtown, is you have to not think about the transaction. It's not about the stuff. It's about the experience while getting the stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
I go shopping once a year in downtown Manistee. Why? It's expensive. It is so expensive. Why do I do it? Just because it's fun. We spend the day, all of us girls go down there, we spend the day. I spend too much money on stuff that I don't need, but it's fun.
My girlfriend's.
days of
up
shopping
here,
in
yeah.
a more pedestrian downtown for utilitarian shopping, those days are gone. It is experience based, it is recreational, it is, so you lean into that. What's special that isn't just a Amazon transaction, right? Sorry, I'm off my soapbox.
Oh, it's true.
But we're a couple minutes before 8. I will try to distill this down and try to get a sort of a people agenda for Monday. Any last parting words? Anybody's like, I don't like the direction this is going, or does everybody feel kind of comfortable where we ended tonight?
Emphasize communication between us and anybody that lives in the DDA district knows what we are and what we're doing. It's businesses, homeowners. These, mixed use area over there, all those houses, somebody could put a business in that apparently nobody knows about, especially you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because, and I will admit I am guilty of this. I rarely think of residents in the downtown. I always go to businesses and property owners. So thank you for bringing that back up. Yeah.
19 houses in our DDA district. And they probably don't know that they're in the DDA district.
They're part of the district and they're also paying taxes into the TIF. So I mean, they're stakeholders in where this goes. Yeah.
And say that's your tax dollars at work. They go, what?
Right. Okay, so any parting thoughts? Any last speak now or forever hold your hold your peace until Monday. All right, thank you for the conversation. This did go a little bit off track, but in a good way, not in a bad way. So,
Back to you.
yep, so back to finish the agenda, right?
Okay. City manager, DDA directors report. No? Okay. Bernie, any comments?
Thank you very much. I admit, I will admit that, I don't know, Tuesday night I watch Luke play the guitar, okay? It's Sportsman's Club in Nuevo. It's in a way. So anyway, but I'm glad I came. I enjoyed it. I was gonna quit, I might not.
Love you. You can't quit.
No, I can't. I got things to do. I learn how to cook.
See y'all on Monday. We'll be back.
Yeah, thanks for your time tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you. I enjoyed it too.
Thanks. I do too.
Sweet.
2 hours.
12 to 2? Yeah.
Now he will.
All right.
We've never had an agenda like that. I mean, it's just been 12 o'clock for however long it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Jeff? Yeah.
No? Yes. Jared.
Want to leave as much time